be a special meeting. If I can find the damn, here we are. May I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Arbeck?
Here.
Councilmember Brownstone?
Here.
Councilmember Reddick?
Here.
Mayor Penrose?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. And now we'll go to Matthew for a special update.
Thank you. I will keep this brief. I had a longer update prepared, but it seems like we're going to run into some power and technical issues. So rather get through it quickly. Thank you, Council, for setting up or allowing us to set up this meeting today. It's a necessary step in this process. Just a little bit of background on Saturday morning, which was New Year's Eve. We were notified that the rains had overflowed Pillarcitos Creek, and we had flooding there and other parts of the coast side and the community. Outside of the city, Moonridge was hit fairly hard, and within the city limits, again, the areas around Pillarcitos Creek, especially the Oak Avenue Park area and parts of Miramar, experienced some flooding. In the Oak Avenue Park area, Coastside Fire Protection District responded immediately, helped some folks get out of their homes and helped protect whatever they could during that flooding. Some homes were inundated with water. Those homes have been inspected several times since that event, and we have not had to red tag any of those homes. So several of those families remain in place, and there's a widespread community effort to support recovery efforts for them. And that effort is being led by several groups, but ALAS, of course, stepped right in and is collecting donations and support for these families, and we're grateful for that. Once we got through the Saturday afternoon storms and New Year's Eve, staff then had, during that time, we did activate the EOC. It was a stage 2 or partial activation. We just had a few city staff, a member of San Mateo County Department of Emergency Services, our very own Coastside Zone, Dave Cosgrave, joined us here to help us communicate with the county. And we were able to do whatever response was possible during that storm event. I will say that no one expected the type of flooding that we experienced. Everyone in the county and I think in the region was caught by surprise how much rain inundated all of the waterways and how saturated the ground became so quickly. Fortunately, we've had a few days of dry or mild weather to really prepare ourselves. There is a very large effort countywide to prepare ourselves for the next storm, which comes in this afternoon. Just a few local efforts to prepare include distribution of thousands of sandbags throughout the community. Most of them came from our sandbag station at Higgins Canyon Road, the train depot. At this time, we do not have sandbags available. They're in short supply across the state, but San Mateo County is working very hard to obtain additional sandbags and get them to us as soon as possible. And at that point, we will notify the community that we have the supplies in place to resume sandbagging. We want to give a special shout out and thank to our local CERTs who were out there yesterday helping people fill and load those sandbags. Just a great example of how supportive our community is and how we pull together. So thank you to them for what they've done and what they continue to do here. Other efforts that have been made is in some of those vulnerable areas. We've cleared debris to help keep the river or the creek flowing really well, and sandbags with the help of San Mateo County, several neighborhoods, again, to try to divert the water because we can't stop the water, but divert it away from homes and through the natural channels to get that water down to the ocean. We've worked very closely with Sewer Authority Mid-Coast-Side, of which we're a member, SAM. They've been great partners and we've worked closely with them. There's been several issues, but I think they've done a great job addressing them and getting them under control. And we will continue to work with them to ensure that we have that property protected. I apologize for the echo in the room. Another item that's important for people to know, we've been working closely with San Francisco PUC. They own and operate the reservoirs that provide drinking water to this region. So that not only includes the Crystal Springs reservoirs along 280, but also Pillarcitos Lake and Dam, which sit up in the hills above Half Moon Bay, and which ultimately spills over into Pillarcitos Creek down to the ocean. That reservoir is near full. And so for the past 2 days, beginning on Monday, SFPUC has done controlled releases of water to help create more capacity in that lake. I know there's been a lot of concerns in the community that release contributed to the flooding. I want to assure everybody that those releases happened after the flooding and after the storms. SFPUC has been a great partner with us. We've met with them several times over the last several days, along with staff from Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side. And they've really planned and timed those releases to be able to release water without creating any flooding. They've stopped those releases at this time. There is some capacity in the lake. We do expect the lake to fill during this upcoming storm event, at which point it will no longer be able to capture any more rainwater, and any additional rainwater at that point will flow into the watershed, which ultimately will find its way into Pillarcitos Creek. That's being monitored extremely closely. We don't expect those additional waters to impact any sort of flooding, but we will keep an eye on it and notify residents if there's any additional concerns that we need to evacuate. But again, we'll monitor that closely and be on top of that over the next 24 hours.
So you're confirming that SFPUC didn't start the releases until Monday, contrary to reports on Nextdoor.
That is correct. I'm not sure where that information came from, but we've met twice today with SFPUC and Sewer Authority Mid-Coast side staff, and we have confirmed that they did not begin those releases until we met with them on Monday morning.
But you did say, Matthew, that the PUC admitted to daily releases of a small amount as a regular course of events.
Normal operations for Pillarcitos Dam include a very, very small amount of water being released on a regular basis. I don't understand the purpose for environmental purposes. Those would not contribute to the flooding at all. And the major.
You're frozen, Matthew. And your audio is gone.
He'll be back.
And I'll just say, Moz, I see you're still on. Is your audio still working? I wonder if there's a chance you could finish up the statement Matthew was trying to. Oh, Matthew's back.
No, Maz is not available either.
Can you promote to a panelist right now? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, good now.
We apologize. The internet came back on, and so our main room feed finally came back on. So that's the microphone I'm going to use. My computer now has dropped off, so I will turn my attention. Yes.
First met with SFPUC on Sunday.
Oh, and John clarified, we first met with SFPUC on Sunday. Actually, that's when the flow started, not on Monday. I apologize for that.
I have a question.
The flow started Sunday?
About the Crystal Springs Reservoir. There was talk during the county meeting of that overflowing. Is there any update on that?
That wouldn't affect our community, but the last we heard in our most recent meeting with the PUC right before this meeting is they are not concerned about Crystal Springs filling up and no longer being able to take on water. They have more capacity there.
Okay. And then two more questions. Are the buses from the county for transporting folks, if need be, to shelter in place at the EOC?
So if you give me a moment, I'll get to some of the community information
Okay, that's fine.
that'll be included there. A few other steps that so again, I mentioned our staff has been clearing debris through the creek beds and sandbagging to divert water. Now, one thing I think that's important for the community to know is streets are a great way to move water. And so in some areas, they'll see water diverted from creeks as they overflow or from waterways into the street. And the purpose of that is to keep the water moving into the storm sewer system and out to the ocean. And that should keep the water from flooding homes and people's properties. So don't be alarmed if you see water flowing in the streets. But certainly if there is a concern, they can contact us and we'll provide that information at the end of this presentation. A couple other steps we've taken. We have closed the coastal trail as of today between Kelly Avenue and Poplar Street. We have some damage to the trail along the Poplar Bluffs. And at this point, we don't think it's safe for people to be out on the trail anyways. And with that damage, it is closed. And that is closed indefinitely until we can fully assess it and do some repair work. So please do not access the coastal trail between Kelly and Poplar Street. At this point during the storms, we would hope nobody would be out on the trails. It is not a safe time to be out in the community and out in the weather, but certainly not in that area. We've also closed all of our park facilities, and we hope people remain out of those during this storm. And really our advice to the community is to hunker down. Hopefully they've prepared and got the supplies that they need for the next 12 to 24 hours. The next storm is anticipated to hit the community around 3 p.m. We may already be feeling it now, and it's going to intensify overnight and then ease up on Thursday morning. So we will have crews available 24 hours. We'll also have the Emergency Operations Center open for 24 hours, and we'll have contact information there. And as of today at 1 o'clock, we opened the Ted Adcock Community Center as an evacuation point and a resource center, and that will also be open 24 hours. So if anybody in the community has needs, they can come to the Ted Adcock Community Center where their needs will be evaluated by staff. They'll be able to get indoors and warm. We're working on being able to provide some level of food and comfort. The Ted Adcock will not be an overnight shelter. We will work with those that are displaced by flooding that need shelter. We'll coordinate with the county to get appropriate shelter to them, ideally on this side of the hill, but people should be prepared to be transported over the hill. As you mentioned, Madam Mayor, Samtrans has located a large bus here, and it's prepared for evacuation purposes. And we have CERT and Red Cross teams available to support us if we need to do evacuation or sheltering. I think at this point, Colleen, can you bring up the slide? We just want to make folks aware of where they can get information, real-time information about this storm. So Colleen is sharing just some brief information. So we have our storm preparation information page on our city website. The full URL is on the screen right now, but if you just go to hmbcity.com and at the top of the page, click the weather alert link, it'll take you right there. That's the simplest way to get up-to-date information from the city. And we will keep that updated 24/7. Here is just an example of the other things, tools we use to get information out. As you can see, Nextdoor is the strongest way for us to communicate out. So we are constantly uploading information to Nextdoor and the different channels of information. On those social media applications, people can utilize those applications to look at things in English or Spanish. On our webpage, we have everything translated into Spanish, and anything we send out via community e-news will be translated into Spanish as well. I also want to make people aware of Zone Haven. This is a tool that you have to actively go to, but if you go to aware.zonehaven.com, you'll see that the entire county is broken up into small zones, and you can search on that map and find which zone you're a part of. And those zones will be updated with information about alerts, evacuations, road closures, those types of things. So we encourage people to go to that. The last thing I'll share is if people need any support or have any questions, you can dial 211. The county has the 211 system up and running. And at some point, it will actually connect you to city staff directly. Thank you. And we're in constant contact with KHMB Radio and the Half Moon Bay Review. So please follow those channels as well for up-to-date information. The goal is to share information in as many different places and ways as possible so that people can use whatever channels they're most comfortable with to get information about the storm and about the work that we're doing and where they can get help. The last thing I'll just share is just my gratitude to all of our city staff who have really stepped up. You know, this whole thing started in the middle of our holiday break. It's a time for us to pull away and spend some time with family and get some rest. And for many of our staff, that ended abruptly on Saturday morning with no complaints and no concerns. Staff have really pulled their bootstraps up and gotten involved, and we're just really grateful for their dedication to the community. We're grateful for the support of the county and all of our coastside volunteers that have stepped up from CERT and our local nonprofits. And then, of course, to you, City Council, for all of your support throughout this. At this point, I'm happy to answer any questions. We have other staff in the room that can help answer questions. And then, of course, the business tonight is that on, was it Sunday evening, I went ahead and signed a declaration of emergency, and that needs to be ratified by you, and that will give us access to resources from the state and the federal government and reimbursement opportunities in the future for all the costs and expenses we're incurring in responding to the storm.
Matthew, two questions. There was mention at one point of the high school being used as a warming center. Is that
No,
not happening?
what I will share, and I want to be careful because nothing's been activated, but if a local shelter needed to be set up overnight, the Boys and Girls Club gym on the site of Cunha will be utilized for that purpose. No one should go there without being directed there. Anybody who needs help, please come to the Ted Adcock Community Center on Kelly Avenue. That's where we'll do intake and assessment and get people to the right kind of services, including shelter if necessary. And thanks to the Boys and Girls Club and the Rio Unified School District for their support throughout this as well.
Yes, my second question is about the homeless. I know that there was outreach done and that a lot of the homeless have been placed. Has anything been done in the last couple of days with the homeless, or what's the story?
Yes, there was a very strong effort on Saturday, especially for those living along the creek. And I believe 9 individuals were housed through the county's Office of Homelessness. Most of those individuals remain housed. And then through the HOT team and Abundant Grace, continuing outreach to get people to accept those shelters is happening. If anybody is homeless and needs services, they can come to the Ted Adcock Community Center, or they can go to the Coast House. Both locations are equipped to get those individuals connected to services and support.
Thank you. Council members, do you have any questions? Council Member Brownstone.
Yeah, I was just going to suggest, since it's getting darker and windier where I'm sitting, maybe we go ahead and ratify the resolution and then continue on if we have questions, just in case we get disconnected here or something.
Can I have a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
A
Second.
second?
Councilmember Brownstone,
Yes.
Councilmember Reddick,
Yes.
Councilmember Rohrbach,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Jimenez,
Yes.
Mayor Penrose,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
You're muted, Deborah. Deborah, you're muted.
Any other questions from council members for staff?
I think staff done a good job putting the information together. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for all your hard work.
I agree.
Matthew, you want to share with the rest of the team about the group text that is going on with the members of the community and county?
I'm not sure which details you'd want shared. I'd be happy to hear from you on that one.
Oh, just want to say, there's a group text, and I think Matthew put this together with the county supervisor, Ray Mueller, nonprofit organizations here in Half Moon Bay, including Matthew and other city staff. Yes, about the resources that we have available, and yes, sharing information about the flood or the resources happening. So that's been going on for a couple of days already. So that's the good way that is sharing with our nonprofits, about what the resources. And today, when he shared that Ted Arca was available for emergency evacuation, we're able to share that with the community via social media. So we have a lot of community members that follow our social media, some of the nonprofits. So that's out already, and about the sandbags and the food available and some of the other resources.
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Latino community, Joaquin, in particular?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because what happened, the ones that were the most affected, it was a Latino community on the 31st, with the floods and areas of Moonridge, Oak Avenue. So just making sure that that information out there, in our community.
Yep. And I'll just share, Ray Mueller, our new county supervisor as of yesterday. We're just grateful that he's jumped right in and is working directly with the community and with our nonprofits to really quickly resolve some of these issues and concerns. So it bodes well for our future.
And one more thing on 92, right, getting close to the Crystal Springs, there's a sinkhole. I don't know if you saw that. So we might have to do, I don't know if they're going to be close to 92. Maybe a Captain Alvin, if you know any information on that.
Yeah, we are aware of it. I personally drove by on my way to work yesterday, and I made sure that CHP and Caltrans were notified. Caltrans did bring in an engineer to look at it and assess. They gave the opinion that they thought it would hold up through the storm. However, CHP, as well as my deputies, have been doing checks since yesterday. And if at any time we feel like it's deteriorating, then we'll do what's necessary, whether that means closing 92 altogether or closing it to one-way traffic. But as of now, it does seem to be holding up despite how bad it looks. But we are keeping an eye on that situation, definitely.
Okay, other comments or questions?
I just want to mention that there's a sewer authority mid-coast side meeting at 4:00. We're going to make our own emergency declaration, and Kishan's going to give an update. All the issues that the system is experiencing right now, including with the Montero force main. So it should be informative, hopefully not argumentative, but that's open to the public starting at 4:00. And it might be good for Mike or somebody to, check in if you have the time,
Maz will be on that call.
I will, yes.
Okay. I realized when I shared some of the information, I did not include the main line for the city.
726.
It's 650-726-8910. At this point, that number will be answered 24/7.
Well, hang in there, everybody.
Everybody's doing good. I think we're in the adrenaline phase of all this. and gratefully, it looks like we'll have a little bit of at least a weather break between this storm and the next one this weekend. So we'll do our best to rest and get staff rested up and be ready for the next round. And this could continue for a couple of weeks. So we'll continue to cycle folks through and get people the rest they need and keep you updated, of course.
Yeah, there's a really good website called Weather West, where an eminent meteorologist does blogs every day and sometimes multiple times a day. And there's lots of, interesting information there. And it looks like it's going to be a terrible storm.
What's it called again?
It's called Weather West.
West?
WEST.
Oh, I'm
It's Swain, SWAI, the scientist, stuff quoted in the Chronicle stories and Sacramento Bee, but that's his blog and his updates, scientific updates on the models and stuff.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. All right. If there's nothing else, then I will adjourn this meeting and good luck, everybody.
Thank you. Be safe. Calm down, please.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
Stay home.
Take care. Hello, Jill. Bye.
Bye, everybody.